Welcome, guys, back to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Woolwine. Today, we are welcome with Miss Rae Larson. How we doing?
Good. Thank you for having me, Justin.
Of course, I actually saw you not too long ago at, I think it was the last two AAW shows, and I was like, you know, different person. I haven't seen you before. I was like, I gotta try to get her on the podcast, and you had quite the showing. So I was like, let's get her on, see what she's all about.
Well, thank you for having me. AAW is a new venture for me. I've been in Michigan for about 3 years or so now, and I've been venturing further into the Midwest and into Canada, but I'm very excited to really spread out and take the United States and Canada by storm.
Okay. AAW though it's a great promotion. One of my top favorites, especially in like the Chicago area. So like it's nice to see you getting into the fold there, and it's got a prestigious history. So it's cool to see you getting in there and getting in the fold of things.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Before we get into your career, would you like to let the fans know where they can find you on social medias and like maybe any upcoming events that you know you have scheduled?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Facebook at Rae Larson. It's Rae Larson. And then you can find me on Instagram at relentless underscore Jack, JAC. And then those are pretty much the two easiest platforms to find me at. I will be at the next AAW on April 12th, and then I am at NCG on April 5th, I believe. Those are my next two promotions I'm at.
Got you. Seeing as how this is the I Love Wrestling podcast, I always start with the beginning and try to find where maybe your wrestling fandom started. So, when did you find wrestling and maybe what made you fall in love with it?
So I may, this kind of, maybe this is kind of a taboo. I did not watch wrestling growing up. Um, but I found a love for wrestling later in life. I've always kind of been a little bit of a fitness or a muscle head, and I was wrestling was brought to me by some close friends and family, and I was into fitness, and I kind of peaked with fitness, and they showed me some of the women in wrestling, and they said, "Hey, I know you're into fitness. I know you love seeing women that can dominate and own the ring, a, own their space against men." And I'd heard of China. I'd seen the awesome things that China had done. I'd seen what Medusa could do. I'd seen Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, and I just the connections had never been made for me. And when these people showed me what these women could do, and I saw the women's revolution in WWE, mostly because, as we all know, WWE has really owned the market and cornered the market on wrestling. So it was the easiest thing that I could kind of view and understand and start to kind of scoop up and enjoy. Um, it, I fell in love with it. And I think if any wrestler or any person associated with a business tells you that they don't fall in love with wrestling because they're not a fan first and foremost, I think that in some ways that's a lie. So I became a fan, and then I had a friend that was training in my area, and they really they kind of encouraged me to get into it, and it just kind of it snowballed from there.
Okay. So, like, is that what ultimately made you decide to like start training, or was there anything else that pushed you towards it?
Yeah, so my fitness journey had been changing. I had been getting in shape more, and I had some friends that had been yarders for a number of years, and they were like, "I think you'd be really good at this." And I didn't believe them. I'd done some athletics growing up. I'd done soccer and swimming. They're like, "I think you'd be really good at this." And my friends that were yarders, they were friends with Rohit Raju.
Okay.
And Rohit from Saginaw, Michigan. Obviously, Rohit is no stranger to AAW. Um, he ran a school out of Saginaw, Michigan. And they're like, take a chance. Seriously, you won't regret it. And I reached out to Rohit, and I, first day at wrestling practice, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done.
How long did you like actively participate in training before you got to debut?
Um, so where I trained at Ultimate Championship Wrestling out of Saginaw is a school and a training facility, and they also do shows while you're training.
Okay.
So I was thrown to the wolves about 6 weeks in.
Oh,
Um, I did a battle royal 6 weeks in. So I mean, it was a very protected, minimal spot where I just kind of did what I could with punches and kicks, and I learned how to go out of the ring safely. Looking back, was I ready? No. But I mean, with some of the training schools, I don't know how many people are really ever ready until they're thrown in and
yeah.
it's trial by fire. Um, but yeah, 6 weeks in, I did like my first training kind of like spot. Um, now when I first got paid, had my first booking, I was probably like 8, 9 months removed from my very first training day.
Okay.
So, I think at that 8, 9 month mark, I was much more ready for it.
How are you feeling like post debut, post first book match?
So, I remember I looked over at one of my friends and I told him before I went out 6 weeks, right before that battle royal, I don't know if I want to throw up or crap my pants. And he looks at me and he goes, do both. And I think that's how a lot of people feel right before they do it. Um, and when I got in that ring, my feet hit the mat and I felt like I was home. Um, I felt like there was nowhere else I'd rather be. And I think for people who find their footing in wrestling, I would venture to say that that is a very similar feeling that they find. I think that they find that that wrestling mat is home for them. That squared circle is home. Um, Looking back at it now, even 3 years in, I still don't think I know even an ounce of what I should know in wrestling. I think I'm starting to find my footing,
Okay.
but I have so much more to learn.
Okay. Who are like some of the people maybe you take the most inspiration from?
Uh, Rohit, when I first started training, the way he moves, the way he talks in the ring. There are a number of people in Michigan. Um, I would say they're Michigan veterans, but Aaron O'Ryan. Again, the way that they talk, the way that they move, the way that they command a presence within the ring. Um, and then even looking at the different people within the independents and now on TNA, Josh Alexander, obviously he's moving to wherever his new landing spot will be. Jody Threat, she's a huge inspiration for the types of matches that she has, her fire that she commands as she's in the ring. Giselle Shaw, she's absolutely the way she structures and puts matches together. If anybody just saw her match with Serena Deeb, that was very well done at Maple Leaf.
Definitely.
Um, you know, that's just off the top of my head. I mean, we're not even talking about people that are legends. Owen Hart, Bret Hart, Triple H, uh, Eddie Guerrero. Those are all people that when I think about when I first started watching, those are the types of people who that was my formative education. Those are the people whose matches I watched.
Okay. How did you go about like trying to find yourself on the independent scene and spread your wings to other promotions?
Um, so I was very fortunate. Um, well, it was kind of the situation where um so when I debuted, I unfortunately tore my ACL, and I didn't know I tore my ACL in my debut. There's actually footage of it on my Instagram. I was doing some kicks to another opponent, and you can see my knee buckle. And I thought at first it was just a strain. And as I was doing it, I felt the knee give out. And I just thought, oh, wow, that was kind of weird. And the knee swelled up for about a week, and then I was able to move on with my life. I worked on the knee. So that would have been in March of 2022. I worked on that knee until November of 2022, before, when I had surgery to repair the ACL. I didn't know until September that I had actually torn the ACL. And when I had imaging done, the surgeon who looked at the ACL said it looked like the ACL had essentially exploded in my knee. And there
Gosh.
was scar tissue all around it. So whatever had happened, the ACL exploded. And then because I didn't give my body time to rest and I just worked through the healing process, the scar tissue healed and the knee healed. So from November to May of 2023, I rehabbed and then I re-debuted in May of 2023. But during that point in time, I managed. So I took the time off, like when I couldn't physically walk on my knee, when I couldn't move. I took that time off. But when I could start walking and moving again, I managed. And I'm very grateful to the people that I was able to work with, because they helped me keep my name relevant. People like Ace Evans, people like Alex Van Zant. I worked with, when I worked with them, I worked with people like Jason Hotch. And because I was able to continue to build rapport and kind of keep getting my name out there, they in turn gave my name to additional promoters. So it was a situation where I was able to keep myself relevant even though I wasn't wrestling. And so even though it was still within just Michigan, I was still, women are so scarce that a relevant woman, even if she wasn't able to keep wrestling, she could still continue building connections. And so women, fortunately, are still such a commodity that if there's a good woman on the market, which a lot of the Michigan women are, word of mouth will help them reach additional promoters. And so I do a lot of legwork. I do reach out to additional promoters. And when I reach out to them, I provide them my resume, I provide them my background, but word of mouth does help me garner a lot of bookings too. And then once I get there, my work rate will speak for itself.
Okay. That last part I really resonates because it works kind of the same way with podcasting. Like especially when you're the new guy on the scene, like building a reputation's hard. But like once you get to know people and know the right people and let your work speak for itself, it definitely gets you a lot farther than other means, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, how different was it for you to go from wrestling and then now you get hurt to transition into a manager role? Was that hard for you or was it easily adaptable?
Uh, it was horrendously hard. Every time I can't be in the ring, the only thing I want to do is be in the ring. And even so, a lot of times, if I'm not booked and I'm trying to earn a spot at a new show, um, now the next step is Exodus Pro or, TNA or MLW or, that next tier, even AAW in a certain regard. Uh, it's hard because you want to show up, you want to earn a spot, you want to ring crew, you want to show face essentially, that you are willing to pay dues to earn a spot on a show, potentially in like kind of what I've been doing at AAW live, where I've got the pre-show matches right now until I can potentially enter a spot on that main card. So it's hard because you're you're earning that spot, you're paying those dues, and all you want to do is get in that ring, and all you want to do is wrestle. So it's like you're just itching for your opportunity. And I say to the people I ride with in the car, like, just all I want to do is wrestle, man. Like it's kind of like a saying that we have in the car, like all I want to do is wrestle. So when you're not on a card and you just want to earn that spot, so managing, eh, when you are healthy and you can manage and you can earn that spot in a manager sense where like you have a spot where you can jump in or you can pull a leg or you can interfere. That's like the sweet spot of managing because you can be such an integral part of the match. You're not taking away from what the true focus is, which is the wrestlers. That this is their show. You're only supposed to be like the garnish. You're the cherry on the sundae when you're a manager. But when you're just a manager and like when I wasn't cleared for my knee injury, I really couldn't get involved that much. So it's hard, but it forced me to become very confident in who my character was and who I was as a wrestler. So when I built that confidence in who I was as a wrestler, it helped me when I was wrestling again because I could just rely on who I was as a character and know that I had that to fall back onto and could focus more on my wrestling because that was essentially the harder part now coming back from the knee injury.
So kind of switch the roles. Like at first
It
maybe it was
did.
the character thing, and now it's, hey, now I got the character down pat. Let's try to
Yeah.
figure out the wrestling better. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Walk us through what it was like for yourself and Heather Blue to win to win some tag team gold in MPW.
So, I mean, to steal a cliche, essentially shattering some glass ceilings because women in Michigan. I mean, you've got Allison Kay, you've got Randy West, Thunder Kitty. You have some women, even Hannah Henderson in a certain regard. You have some women that have been around, that have done the things, but to have this new, essentially generation of women, even though Allison Kay and I are close to the same age. You know, we're all about like we're all within 5 to 10 years of each other. But to be able to bring intergender wrestling in and become a mainstream dominant force, it's incredibly satisfying and it's incredibly rewarding to be able to go toe to toe with men and not have gender be the main conversation, to be defined as wrestlers, not women's wrestlers, not men's wrestlers, just wrestlers. Um, it was, it just, and then to see the effect that we had on children, not just boys, not just girls, that was the coolest part. I'm forever grateful that Heather wanted to work with me. I'm grateful to Metro Pro for taking a chance on us. I'm grateful to AVZ because we started as managers under AVZ. So it it was it was like a fortuitous happenstance that it all came together and that we were able to just pull this story out of what seemed like just random luck. And we kind of changed the landscape of women's wrestling, I would want to say, because Michigan women's wrestling wasn't really that relevant before Heather and I. And Heather started probably 6 months to a year before me. So I owe more of a thanks to Heather about it than anything else.
Okay. Do you have like a favorite moment from that title run?
I really liked when we wrestled Storm and Kenzie because it was four women going for tag team titles that had never been defended, that four women had never, fought for before. So it was
Right.
kind of cool to take titles that were suddenly essentially non-gender specific. But I actually think my favorite match was the match where we lost the titles against Marcus and RC3. Um, just because if it we felt like we were just having fun in wrestling. And that's all I've ever wanted out of wrestling. Like that's my passion for wrestling is to just have fun. And I felt like that match was fun. It was hard hitting. It was, n none of us held back. And that's all I can ask for with opponents is that they treat us the same way they treat the guys, and they held up to that end of the bargain.
Was it like ever a focal point to like make it like apparent that hey, two women hold these titles, two women are defending against two other women for these titles, or was it just something that happened and then like you guys kind of look back on later and was like, oh crap, we broke like a gender barrier.
I think maybe in the beginning it was a little bit of a bigger deal.
Okay.
And but as time went on, it was just, we were the relentless duo. We were just two mainstays of Metro Pro. I think it was more they can't do it, and then the more we did it, it just became, no, they're here. They've earned their spots. We know that they can go. So why continue to naysay when they've earned their place, they've earned their stripes, they've done their time? You know, why why argue against something when they've proven they can work just as hard as the men?
Would you like to see more of that maybe throughout the wrestling landscape?
I would like to see more of a judgment call of our abilities based on the things that we do and less upon how we look. So, you
Okay.
know, hey, like, let's just give us our opponents based on the opponents we want to see, and less, hey, this is another women's match that, there's 8 women in the state and we can only wrestle each other so many times. And I understand that domestic violence is something that we need to be aware of. And for some people, it's a very real thing that they see
Sure.
when women wrestle men. But as a woman who has wrestled men more often than she's wrestled women, there's a way to do it where it doesn't resonate in that negative fashion.
Okay. That makes sense. In 2023, you won the NEPW Women's Title Tournament. What was that night like for you, and how did it feel to maybe have like the locker room, the fans, and even the promotion behind you in that moment?
So New Edge Pro was a very close promotion for me. A lot of people who helped me rehab through my knee injury were at that promotion.
Okay.
And when I walked in the back, to kind of peel the curtain a little bit, when I walked in the back, everybody was waiting for me and to be the inaugural women's champion and have the whole back kind of waiting for me and clapping. It was emotional. I worked with my tag team trio there straight out of Saginaw, Ace Evans and Nick Green. And so they congratulated me, which was incredibly emotional. But to then have the entirety of the roster then congratulate me, it had been a long night. Like I ran the gauntlet. I'd had 3 matches that night. then to walk in the back and have that. Um, I was very close with the promoters at the time. They're very dear friends of mine. And so the all the women that were in that tournament earned their spots. And I know for a fact that them choosing who was going to be the woman that carried that title for the first time, they were not dead set, even though they were close with me, they were not dead set on it being me. And I didn't want it to be me. I wanted them to choose the best woman in the state to carry that title. And I was shocked that they chose me. Um, I hope that I did them proud during that title run. I think Stella Buho, who has carried it after me, has done the title even better than I have. She's given them some really good matches and some really good opportunities. So I just, I am so grateful to every promotion that has given me an opportunity, even if it hadn't seemed like the best opportunity in the beginning, because it's all taught me something, um, good, bad, and different. And it's kind of helped leverage and vault me to my next opportunity in my life. So, I, people will ask me, oh, what's your worst promotion? Oh, what's your best promotion? It's hard for me to answer that at times because I can't choose because every decision has kind of helped lead me to the next one.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's one of those things that kind of works with like normal life as well. Like it's hard to say that you, I don't know, at least personally, like that I would regret anything because it's made me or got me to where I am now, or I learned something
Right.
from it. So it's like I wouldn't change it. It might not have been the best thing that could have happened, but why go back? Because now I'm here and things are going how they should. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got an opportunity to wrestle for OVW last year
I did.
against Sophia Rose, who's
Yep.
quite the competitor. What was it like working with OVW and Sophia? Like what was that like for you?
It was very cool to have the opportunity to work for a TV level promotion. Um, I have always been on the ring crew kind of side of working with TV. So to have the opportunity to be part of the actual talent side of working for TV was incredibly rewarding. And I'm, you know, when I earn these opportunities, when I have a chance to think back about these opportunities, I often post on socials that I'm just grateful. And I feel like that's a mantra I say a lot. But looking back in these 3 years, I've had so many opportunities where I just sit back and I just write, I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for OVW for providing me this opportunity. Um, Everybody was incredibly kind. Sophia was awesome to work with. Um, One of my favorite things about working with TV is they structure you with agents and producers for matches.
Hmm.
So I can, when you work with TV, a lot of times they have people who will tell you how they want a match to go. And while we, kind of pulling the curtain back a little bit again, while we are able to put our own matches together and we can put the pieces together, sometimes it's nice to have some guidance and some structure as to how the producer or TV would want you that match to go. And so it was nice to have that guidance right away when I walked in of, hey, this is how we want the match to go. They didn't tell me what I had to do in terms of like the types of moves or whatever, but to have that type of TV ready professionalism in terms of producers, agents. That was really, really cool. And then Sophia was a lot of fun to work with. And the more you meet people who come from different schools, you see the different types of styles that you can work with. it's a lot of fun because the more it up levels your training and your background, you can then take that back to the women that you work with, which can then help increase their talent level. So when you have matches with different people, you're not just helping you, like you as a talent grow, you're helping other people grow that you work around.
Could we see you back in OVW?
I would love to. There's different opportunities that come up. There's the OVW Nightmare Rumble. Depending on my booking schedule, I could zoom down to OVW. It's about a 6 to 8 hour drive to get down to Louisville. So it depends when the timing's right. If they're on tour and they need some enhancement talent to come through, and somebody's looking for some talent, I could
Okay,
zoom through to there. It just depends on the timing.
definitely. We've mentioned AAW a couple times where you made a debut for them last year. Is that somewhere you could see yourself being maybe a focal point going forward?
Yeah, that's definitely somewhere where I am looking to root down.
Okay,
Danny, the promoter, has been absolutely wonderful. Danny Daniels. Tyler in the commentary has been providing some really good guidance. So I'm hoping to start to root down there. I'd like to make AAW a permanent home. So I'm hopeful for that for sure.
gotcha. Um, One of like the most interesting things I found out when I was doing research about your career is you've got to do some work with JCW. You've wrestled on Lunacy and
Yep.
Deck the Jaws. What
Yes.
what what was your experience like working with Juggalo Championship Wrestling? And is that somewhere like we could maybe see you back on their screen?
Yeah, absolutely. So JCW does travel quite a bit. Regionally, when they come back into town, they tend to hit up local talent. So as they come back into town, I'll reach out to them or they'll reach out to me and we'll start to make plans. But absolutely, if that's something that's in the cards, they are a fantastic company to work with. Their talent level, is unbelievable. The Backseat Boys, um, Danny Moe, Facade, Caleb, they're all incredibly fun to work with. And Violent J has been absolutely wonderful to coordinate and work with as well. So,
Okay. The rest of my questions are kind of they're not maybe company specific.
yeah.
Um, so I'll just start with what is your favorite moment so far of your career?
So my oof, it's probably a tie between working with Jody Threat,
Okay.
which I worked with her at Divine Wrestling, which is an all-women's company out of Detroit, or winning the Chainsaw Cup, which is out of Mr. Chainsaw Pro Wrestling. Um, that is a small company out of Northern Michigan. It's hard to see a lot of their items because they are on IWTV.
Okay.
But Mr. Chainsaw is a small kind of they're a very special promotion that has a small number of fans, but they are a very special promotion that is near and dear to my heart that treats you like family. And you can see pretty much any of their stuff on IWTV. And the first time I went there, the way that their venue looks, it almost looks like you're walking into like a missile silo. Like it the way that the ring is set up, it looks like it's in like a warehouse, but it looks like it's enclosed. And the way that the chants and cheers reverberate, it sounds like it's contained. Um, and the really cool thing about that venue is, or that promotion is that they bring in some really cool different talent. Um, and they've been around for, I want to say, 15 years, but they've
Okay.
never really had a strong female presence. And as such, they've never pushed female wrestling. So it's always been intergender. And I've had some of the most unique matches there because it's always been intergender. So I got to wrestle Aaron O'Ryan there. Um, I got to wrestle Adam Wick there, which are some Michigan specific wrestlers. But the Chainsaw Cup is the equivalent of their mid-card title. And you
Okay.
can turn in that mid-card title kind of like the option C for the Division X for TNA
Okay.
and go for the heavyweight title there.
I like that.
So it's very, very cool. It's very, very different. They used to do more death match type things. It's something now that if the time calls for it, they'll throw in a street fight or a death match. It kind of ebbs and it flows, but it's definitely a promotion that I would say for fans, if they have IWTV, check it out. They've brought in the Machine Guns, they've brought in Alley Catch, Billy Starks, some bigger names.
Might have to check that out.
They had Cody Rhodes, I want to say 10 plus years ago now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. Um, what's been maybe your favorite match so far, if you had to pick one?
Um, like I said, the Jody threat or probably wrestling Aaron because
Okay.
I wrestled Aaron at a point where I wasn't really sure of myself yet, and I wasn't really sure I could keep up with the guys who had that next level of talent. And when I finally was able to do that, um, I like it was that moment where I realized I could do the things that I thought I could do, even if it wasn't perfect.
Okay. Do you have any dream match opponents that you'd like to get in the ring with potentially one day?
Probably like a Masha Slamovich would be one of them. I mean, I know Jamie Hayter just got released, so that would be really cool. In terms of guys, probably like a Sammy Callahan
Okay.
or
That
hmm,
one's really possible. He's not far. He's not far from you.
he's not. I had the opportunity to work with Josh Alexander at Can-Am when I trained there with him. He would be amazing to work with. I I am grateful to anybody that wants to take the time with somebody like me who just wants to learn and grow. Um, at this point, I've done so much, and the opportunities that have come to me are ones that I never thought I would ever have the opportunity to have. So any like anytime somebody says, "Hey, what do you think about this?" I'm like, "All right, let's vision board it." Um, Johnny Bravo has a habit of taking his students and wrestling them. So I said to him mid last year, I was like, "Hey, I'd like to wrestle you at some point." And he said, "Okay, let's throw it on the vision board. Let's build a story for it." So I told Johnny, like, let's get that one done. I told Rohit, like, I'd love to wrestle Rohit. So we'll see. We'll see if any of these like vision board type matches ever actually come to fruition.
Okay. One more question.
Yeah.
Um, we are about a quarter of the way through 2025 so far. What are some of your goals for the rest of this year?
Um, so I debuted at AAW last year, but to kind of re-debut at AAW was a goal that um was, on the vision board, but to be more on the main card was definitely one of them. Wrestle Revolver, Exodus Pro, um, even a live match or a BTI at TNA.
Okay. I like it. I like it. Ray, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining us here on the podcast. I know we did at the beginning, but just in case they missed it, do you want to shout out like your socials and maybe those
Yeah.
upcoming events one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. So Facebook, Rae Larson, Rae Larson. And then Instagram, relentless_Jack. You can find me at NCG, which is in Leamington, Ontario, on April 5th. And then you can find me at AAW again on April 12th.
Okay. Um, I always say this at the end. If you ever want to come back on, I'd love to have you. Maybe we can do a little update maybe in a year or so.
Yeah,
See
yeah,
where
absolutely.
you go. Sounds good.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Ray.
Justin.
I appreciate it. And I will just leave this at see you later then.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you soon.